Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia chapter 192. And, wow, this chapter was, heavy. Very, very heavy. And, okay. So, wow, like, I'll talk about the Endeavour portions of the chapter in a bit, but first, I gotta say, that ending was an incredible setup. And set up like getting into the last couple of pages with Izuku tapping into the memories of One for All, leading us into a flashback for next chapter. The events that happened between All for One and his brother is just incredible. And what I love about this is that when you look back on the story, in terms of us getting a backstory on the history of One for All and All for One, especially when it basically starts when it starts with a brother. We never really got we never in terms of a backstory, the only backstory we really ever got was that expositional flashback that we see All Might pretty much telling to Izuku about what happened, but we never actually got full context about what even happened between these two brothers. Like we never actually got full on context as to what the conflict between the two brothers was like, and and from what we see in this chapter, and from what we see at the end of this chapter, it seems like we're actually going to get that in the next chapter. Like we're going to get a full on, like at least a couple chapters of basically flashback of showing us what pretty much exactly happened between All for One and his brother. So I'm honestly excited because the thing is with that, and definitely with a flashback like this, with the flashback being set up like this, like if there's one thing I've learned about My Hero Academia, is that there's always going to be two sides to a story. So there's a very high chance that if that that the events shown are going to be definitely a lot more emotionally dark than we were led to believe, and it also makes me believe that things aren't that things between All for One and his brother weren't exactly so cut and dry as pretty much All Might as pretty much all, as as pretty much how All Might laid it out. I mean the fight with All for One and All Might, it definitely gave out the vibe that there was definitely more to it definitely gave out the vibe that there was definitely more to that there's definitely more to All Might that there's definitely basically more to the pretty much to the falling out between All for One and his brother. And here in this very moment, we're actually going to get full context as to what led to what led the two brothers pretty much down their very opposite paths. Like I'm fanboying over this fucking setup, and I honestly I just want the next chapter now, so I can basically get started and sink my teeth into this fucking flashback, because just the possibilities of what we could see here is incredible. And I think, and if one thing and if anything, I'm also hoping that what we get out of this flashback is that we're gonna get a is that we're going to see a lot more humanization of All for One too. So um I've talked enough about that flashback, about that opening flashback. Let's talk about the stuff with Endeavour. To start off, I like how the aftermath of the fight with Hyen still has left the public split on what they think of Endeavour as the new number one hero, because it shows that it shows that it shows that while he is powerful enough to hold off threats to the public, there is still a lot of uncertainty in the grand scheme of things, especially since the League of Villains is continuing to grow in power, and with the league, and especially with the League of Villains growing in power, you really can't. There is in all honesty, there's going to be uncertainty, definitely one way or another. Like there's going to be some, and in this particular like one thing I think is cool is that I recently discovered that all we're seeing right now is basically part of one that all we're seeing right now is actually part of the brand new saga of My Hero Academia. Like pretty much a lot of a good chunk of the first chapter that was a good chunk of the first part of the series, like from the beginning all the way to the fight with pretty much fight between All Might and All for One. It was all part of the UA Beginnings arc. But pretty much now this whole thing is, well, the content we're now is part of a saga, I think, called it's Rise of the Villains. So yeah, it's I like how we're still getting this, even though we're getting a lot on the heroes. I do like how we're still getting this looming presence of that. Yeah, even with the bolstering of power, there's still a lot of uncertainty with how much power the villains are still getting. Yeah, I do like how they're still kind of keeping that focus on the villains too. um, and in terms of Endeavor's part here, he definitely recognizes that he still has much more room to grow if he even hopes to in fact be that, if he in fact hopes to be that symbol in order to protect the public from pretty much all of these threats. So yeah, it's like it's like the villains growing in power is actually giving Endeavor like the courage and the courage to actually stand up and pretty much be the hero everyone needs right now. So yeah, I can. So yeah, I like how this is just in a lot of ways. I know it's kind of weird to say, but pretty much like how all the students have had their start line. This is pretty much this is Endeavor's start line. This is his start to being a true hero, I guess, in a way. And it took long enough, but we're finally getting there. And okay. So all those people who basically reamed on Horikoshi on Twitter for advocating child abuse, I really hope and I pray to God this chapter pretty much shuts them up, because Endeavor in this chapter basically comes full circle and realizes that yeah, he's been a piece of shit to every one of his family and it's to everyone in his family, and it isn't just Shoto, but it's one of those things where, okay, yeah, he recognizes he's been a piece of shit to his family, but he also recognizes that there is no going back from the things he's done, and that the only way he can get his family's acceptance and approval at this point is by being a better father and hero, and is by being a better father and hero now. Like he realizes that, okay, yeah, pretty much my son, pretty much in terms of my, he realizes that, okay, I'm in a point where my eldest son hates me. One of my younger sons is kind of in the middle about me, and my daughter is basically trying to move forward. So he's taking what his family thinks of him and saying, okay, yeah, I know I've been a piece of shit in the past, but I'm moving forward. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to be a better hero. And I like in a way how this chapter kind of plays into the fact of the parent being of a parent being the child's hero in a way too. So yeah, and in order to reinforce this whole thing too and I think what really worked too in order to help reinforce this whole thing of Endeavor trying to move past all the stuff he's done and just try to be a better person now is basically the scar on his eye. Like, pretty much for me, what seals the deal is the fact that he has a permanent scar on, I believe, the exact same eye as pretty much Shoto, and so now, but both him and Shoto have constant reminders of what they need to do and what they need to do now, and how they need to change in order, and how they need to continuously change and adapt and learn in order to be heroes. Like Endeavor's scar is Endeavor's scar and Shoto's scar are with Endeavor having a scar now. He has a constant reminder of the bullshit stuff he definitely did to his son. So he he realizes that yeah, this scar is going to be a reminder of what I need to do in order to change. So yeah, I definitely I like the scar for sure. Um, Also, the scenes with Hawks, I think. Okay, so after that, we get a couple scenes of Hawks, and I think the scenes of Hawks were good to help address the question I had about last chapter, which is, will he lose himself to depravity and become a villain, and for, and become a villain for basically all this undercover shit he's doing? And while I still think there is room on the table for that to happen, we I like how we also got this reinforcement of how much he's willing to endure in order to make his dream a reality. So so even if he even if he does fall, it's not going to be as easy as we think it is. As long as he keeps, at least as long as he keeps reminding himself of why he's doing what he's doing. And yeah, like it's honestly like looking back, Hawks pretty much Hawks reminds me a lot of Naruto. Like just a lot of Naruto, just pretty much in his whole goal. Like he wants to. He basically wants to be in a world where basically heroes won't even have to risk their lives. It is very Naruto-ish, but I like I like how that kind of I like how that kind. What I think was cool about it is that it wasn't given to the main character. It was given to a side character like Hawks. So yeah, and yeah, Hawks is just. It should be interesting where Hawks goes from here. Also, definitely no lie that pretty much in terms of in and also no lie, pretty much the more I'm getting of Fuyumi, the more I'm getting a few Inko vibes from her, just from how motherly she acts to everyone, and I think that again, I think the way that Prince Todoroki's sister was basically portrayed in this chapter, I think it plays off again into a strength of Horikoshi that not many mangaka have, which is he knows how to write likable parental figures, and it doesn't matter who it is, if it's a big sister, if it's a mother, it's a father, like all these, like if it's a father, he knows how to make these parental figures likable when he needs to. So yeah. Um. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Dead Night of Anime, signing off.